What is going on, ladies, and more importantly, gentlemen? We are about to give our predictions and break down the main card for UFC 261, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal 2. Before we get into these fights, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell. Don't be a baby back bagel biting beta male, because you know what time it is. It's full-time MMA. And without further ado, we're going to jump straight into the main event. This is a rematch between the current UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman and the BMF champion. I don't know if he still got the title, Jorge Masvidal. I believe he's still the BMF champion. This is a rematch to a fight that Kamaru Usman won the first go around, but Jorge Masvidal did take that fight on somewhat short notice, so he does have that sort of excuse built in. Either way, I'm going to be picking Kamaru Usman to win this fight. Usman is 13-0 in the UFC, most recently defeating Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal was coming off of a meteoric rise. It was probably the fastest rise to the top we've ever seen after he knocked out Darren Till in his own backyard. Then he gave Leon Edwards a three-piece and a soda. Then he scored the fastest knockout in UFC history when he landed that flying knee on Ben Askren, and he ultimately beat Nate Diaz for the BMF championship before ultimately losing to Kamaru Usman. I'm going to be picking Usman now. I do hope Masvidal shocks the world and wins this fight. If I was picking with my heart, I would be picking Masvidal, but I'm picking with logic. I'm picking with my head, so I got to take Kamaru Usman. The flying knee cat is out of the bag for Masvidal, so it's going to be hard to catch Usman off guard for some sort of fluky win, which means Masvidal is going to have to really earn this one. And with he's gonna have to really earn this one. He's gonna have to find a way to pull off a KO or submission, because I really don't see Masvidal getting a decision win against the larger wrestling-based opponent, Kamaru Usman. So I'm taking Usman to retain his title and defeat game-bred Jorge Masvidal in the main event of the evening. Next, we've got the co-main event. Weili Zhang, the current UFC strawweight champion, taking on the former UFC strawweight champion Rose Namajunas. And yes, I am picking and new. I am picking Rose Namajunas to win this fight. The current champ Weili Zhang surprisingly only has 5 fights in the UFC. She's coming off a split decision win over Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Rose Namajunas has double the fights in the UFC. She's got 10 fights in the UFC. She's 7-3, coming off a split decision win over Jessica Andrade. Now, this is a super tough fight to call because Rose is arguably going to be the most technical fighter Weili has ever fought to date. But Weili, on the other hand, does not possess the same grappling threat that presented the biggest challenge to Rose Namajunas in their first fight and in a lot of Jessica Andrade's fights. So I could easily see Weili retaining her title here. But I see this fight playing out on the feet, and I see Rose Namajunas being too technical for Weili, allowing Rose to win a unanimous decision. The only way I really see Weili winning this fight is a knockout, and Rose has never been knocked out on her feet. The only time she was ever lost via KO was that slam to Jessica Andrade. So I'm taking Rose to win this fight, surprisingly. I think she might be the only one to come away with a new title, because, and it really getting her belt back. I'm picking Valentina Shevchenko to retain her flyweight title. Valentina Shevchenko is one of the greatest female fighters of all time. I think it's easy to say she's number 2. She's going to be facing her first real test since claiming the 125-pound title. Jessica Andrade is the former strawweight champion at 115 pounds. She also fought at 135 pounds before that, so 125 pounds seems ideal for Jessica Andrade, and it showed when she KO'd Caitlin Chookagian in the first round with a body shot in her flyweight debut. Jessica Andrade is one of the most experienced female fighters on the UFC roster. She's fought across 3 weight divisions, but I really don't think it's going to be enough to beat the reigning defending champion, who's only lost to the greatest female fighter of all time, Amanda Nunes, in the UFC. I got to take Valentina Shevchenko to retain her title, but that's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a good fight. Jessica Andrade is going to present challenges that none of these other flyweights have presented to Valentina up until this point. So it's going to be a good fight. Next, we've got our only two non-title fights on the main card. First, former middleweight champion Chris Weidman is going to be taking on Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is currently riding a 3-fight winning streak since losing to Paulo Costa most recently. He finished Anderson Silva in the 4th round. Chris Weidman is 1-2 in his last 3 fights, coming off a unanimous decision win over Omari Akhmedov. And real quick, I got to say, with Uriah Hall being on a 3-fight winning streak and all of this, if anybody remembers MMA Quick Hits, I think we can go ahead and say he lost his fucking bet to Uriah Hall. If you guys remember, maybe no, a lot of you ain't going to remember this. Day one hitters remember this. MMA Quick Hits and Uriah Hall had some infamous beef back in the day, and he bet Uriah Hall he would be cut from the UFC in 7 fights. Well, here it is 5 years later, and Uriah Hall is currently riding a 3-fight winning streak. And he just got a finish over Anderson Silva. Now he's going to be taking on Chris Weidman. So, he's not cut. He's far from it. So, just wanted to throw that in there, looking at this 3-fight winning streak and the such. So, in this fight, though, I'm going to take Chris Weidman to win, regardless of Uriah Hall's current streak. It's hard for me to see him knocking out Chris Weidman, which is the only way I see him winning this fight. Most likely, Weidman utilizes his wrestling en route to a decision victory. And that's why I got Chris Weidman in that fight. And last but not least, we've got Anthony Smith versus the Brute, Jim Crute. Jim Crute earned his UFC contract with a first-round KO on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, as since then he's went 4-1 in the UFC, submitting 2 opponents and also finishing the other 2 opponents with strikes. Anthony Smith is 2-2 in his last 4 fights since losing a decision to John Jones. Anthony Smith is coming off of a win over Devin Clark via triangle choke in the first round, which snapped a 2-fight skid for him. This fight's tough to call. I thought I was going to be going Anthony Smith, but I've got to go with Jim the Brute Crute on this fight. I believe he's got more paths to victory in this one. Jim Crute can win this fight via KO, TKO, submission, or decision, and I really don't see Anthony Smith being able to knock out Jim Crute. The only people Anthony Smith has been able to finish since moving up to 205 have been Rashad and Shogun, who both had 1 foot out the door. So this is a super tough fight for me to call, but I got to give the edge to the Brute, man. All week I thought I was going to be picking Anthony Smith to win this fight, but I'm going with the Brute. I think he's going to be one of those guys that really puts himself on the map in 2021. He's a legitimate 205-pound prospect. He could lose this fight. He's young. He's 25. But I do think he's also got a good chance of winning this one and more paths to victory. So I'm giving the slight edge to Jim the Brute Crute. Those are my predictions for UFC 261. We've got Usman, Namajunas, Shevchenko, Weidman, and Crute for our W's. And hey, that's just me picking with my head on this one. If I was picking with my heart, I would have Masvidal up there, and it is what it is. So I hate to pick against my favorite fighters, but when you're using logic, it is what it is, man. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I am out. Let me know your predictions as well. I want to see who you guys are picking, how you guys think the fights are going to play out. Definitely let me know in the comments. I'm out.